Good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear us wherever you're watching from. It's great to have so many here on the webinar. We'll get started. So just some quick introductions to get started. My name is Ed Coveney. I'm a technical sales consultant here at MGISS, and I'm joined today by Alex Macdonald from Leica Geosystems. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Ed. Yeah, I'm Alex Macdonald. I'm Senior Product Engineer at Leica Geosystems. So I'm attached to the Leica HQ in Switzerland, but today I'm sitting in Germany at home.
Okay. Thanks very much, Alex. Glad to have you here today so we can both go through the Leica Zeno Mobile data capture solution. So before we jump into the technology, just a few housekeeping things, if that's okay. Neither me or Alex are expecting any fire alarms or anything like that. So if anything does happen, we will have to treat it as serious. And there will be a Q&A session at the end, but you should be able to ask questions at any time. So if there should be a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, feel free to type out any questions that you have throughout the webinar, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay? So we'll start by just explaining a little bit about MGISS. So many of you will be familiar with MGISS as a company, but there'll be some others on the call that aren't. So I'm going to provide a quick overview of what we do. MGISS is an independent geospatial consultancy dedicated to empowering smarter decision-making through cutting-edge geospatial technologies. We do that by specializing in integrating the best geospatial technologies available, and that will include things like geospatial software, the best of global navigation satellite systems, GNSS, or as that's often referred to casually, GPS equipment. And we also integrate innovative and emerging data services, such as OS map products. By combining these technologies, we can help our clients achieve more efficient operations and data-driven insights. I won't go through all the companies that we work with, but you can see a good mixture here on the screen. It includes companies from infrastructure, environment, and utilities. We have a strong list of partners in the UK that we work with to ensure that we can offer our customers the best geospatial technologies available. The eagle-eyed among you there will see that Leica Geosystems is one of those partners. And I'm happy to be focusing today on their Zeno Mobile data capture solution. So MGISS and Leica have been partnered since 2019, and MGISS are the go-to UK the Zeno partner for Leica in the UK. With our unique expertise in high-precision GIS data capture, Esri integration, and CAD, GIS, and BIM data interoperability, we are well placed to complement Leica's operations in the UK. And although not the focus of this webinar, we are not just mobile data capture experts. We can also embed other Leica technologies, such as the BLK range, their LiDAR scanners, and other Leica survey software. Before we move on to the individual components of the Leica mobile data capture solution, and before I hand over to Alex to do a demo of the new Zeno Mobile One app, I do want to put into context what we mean by mobile data capture solution, why it's important, and where it fits into the overall drive to smarter asset management. So to do this, I'm going to frame it in the context of a journey, which we here at MGISS like to call the journey from location to insight. And we'll just take you through that quickly. So location to insight is based around 4 key pillars of geospatial technology, which we think when combined together with simple workflows can place data truth into the hands of all employees of an organization, from field operatives to engineers, and then ultimately all the way up to boardroom level. These 4 pillars are asset location, asset capture, data quality improvement, and asset insight. And the journey should flow from the left asset location to the right at asset insight. Asset location involves transforming your asset data into a mobile-friendly format. This enables field operatives to access intuitive map-based visuals on their phones or tablets, allowing them to locate assets quickly. The result of this can be faster response times, greater efficiency, and resource savings. Once the asset is located, the next crucial step is mapping them with precision. Now, precision here can mean two things. First, locational accuracy, updating or creating assets with centimeter level accuracy in real time as possible. And secondly, precise asset attribution, ensuring that each asset isn't just a point or line or polygon on a map, but carries detailed business relevant information associated with it. The third pillar is data quality improvement. By embedding robust and reliable asset capture practices, your asset database can better reflect the real-world state of your infrastructure. This is especially critical in the ever-changing landscape of asset management, where assets evolve, move, or are replaced over time. In other words, achieving a one-to-one alignment where asset truth equals a data truth. Once you establish confidence in your asset truth, the true potential of your data can be unlocked. With accurate, reliable data, you can drive smarter decision-making at every level of your organization. For those who are not asset owners, this foundation enables production of high-quality deliverables that meet client expectations and support better outcomes. Ultimately, this is where we all want to be, but the idea of framing this as a journey is to really underline the importance of asset location and asset capture. Without investing in these mobile technologies that make up these two pillars, you can't really reap the rewards of smarter asset insight further down the line. Which brings us back nicely to Leica, because they clearly think the same as us, and it's why they've developed a mobile data capture solution product range. Composing of both hardware and software, the data capture solution helps field operatives to find and capture assets quickly, accurately, and with easy to use applications. Ease of use is a theme that we'll mention quite a few times on the webinar, as all the products that make up the data capture solution have been carefully designed to be as simple and intuitive as possible. The whole narrative behind data capture solutions is that they can be placed in the hands of the non-surveyor, and it can be utilized with little to no formal training or experience. A big part of ensuring it's easy to use is that it's all based around existing mobile and tablet technology. Software becomes a lot less intimidating when it's just an app on your phone, and GNSS technology becomes a lot less intimidating when it's single button use, simply turning on or turning it off. For the Leica Zeno Mobile One app, it can be downloaded from both the iOS and Android app stores and is compatible with both operating systems. And for precision and accuracy, it is dependent on the quality of the GNSS hardware and correction service in use. But we'll go over this a bit more detail later. There is the possibility of getting centimeter level accuracy. And lastly, to give context to your asset data, it's often important to be compatible with accurate base mapping. And in the UK, this often means compatibility with Ordnance Survey base maps. This is the case for Zeno Mobile One. So here are the products that make up the Zeno Mobile data capture solution. From left to right, we will go start with the Zeno Mobile One app. Next is the CSX8, which is Leica's own ruggedized Android tablet. And then we have the two GNSS receivers, the FLX100 Plus and the GGO4 Plus on the far right there. Before we dive into them individually, I just want to do a quick poll to see if anyone has any experience with any of these products. So I'm going to try and do that. We've only got 2 polls scheduled for the webinar, but it should appear on your screen now. What I have included for the Zeno Mobile One app is the predecessor app as well of Zeno Mobile. So if you can have a look at that, and maybe it should be multi-select. So if you've got any experience with any of these, just let us know. And I'll give you about 20 seconds to fill that in. Okay, thanks very much for your answers there. Most people haven't had any experience of any, but the ones that have had some experience tends to be the GNSS receivers, the GGO4 being the most popular, and also the Zeno Mobile One app, or maybe the predecessor app as well. So quite interesting to see. Thanks for your input there. So I'm now going to hand over to Alex, who is going to give you a demo of the new Zeno Mobile One app. So I will pass my screen over to yourself, Alex, and you can give the demo.
Great, thanks very much, Ed. Okay, let's get the screen going. So here we go. So hopefully you can all see the iPad that's on the screen. So yeah, today we're going to give you quite an in-depth overview really of Zeno Mobile One. So this is our latest app, as Ed has explained, that superseded the original Zeno Mobile. And yeah, we're really proud of this new app. And I want to show you some cool things today, actually, that you don't often see end to end. So we're going to have a look at connecting up to the Flex 100 Plus antenna. We're going to talk about RTK. And I also want to show you things to do with GeoServer, WFST, a little bit of QGIS, CAD files as well. So yeah, lots to get through, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. And I've kind of pre-prepared some things, but a lot of it I'm actually just going to do on the fly. And really the reason for that is just to really show you how easy this thing is to use. So bear with me a little bit. Obviously, you know, being a touchscreen application might be a case of some fat fingers going on, but we'll see how we get on. So yeah, as explained, I'm running this on an iPad, and you can see that I've got a default project. So when you first open up Zeno Mobile One, this is what you see: Project One on the top left, and a map, and I've already got my Flex 100 Plus connected. So the blue dot that you see in the center of the screen is my current position. So as I explained at the start, I'm sitting in Germany today. So if I zoom out a little bit, I can just do the usual pinch zoom on the map like you're used to with Google Maps on your phone. That's where I am, kind of northwest of Hanover today. And again, you can pan the map, you can twist it around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, all simple stuff that you're used to doing on your touchscreen. And you can see there aren't that many buttons, so it's very easy to navigate around. If we start on the right-hand side, you can see there's a compass icon there. If I twist the map, it spins around. If I pan away from my current location, I can tap on the arrow above the compass and it will zoom right in on where I am. So very easy to navigate around. On the bottom left, we've got a couple of buttons. So if I tap on the info panel there, you can see my current position. So you can see my latitude and longitude, my height. This is all coming from the Flex 100 Plus antenna that I got connected. And you can see a little bit about the GPS information as well. So navigator position, I'm tracking 31 satellites at the moment. And I have an RTK profile set up, but it's not active at the moment. So I've got the HxGN SmartNet configured on this installation of Zeno Mobile One. So I'll have a look at that in a minute. Other things to note on the bottom left, we've got a little message panel here, which gives you some messages about what's going on with the system. This is some things that I was playing with earlier. I can actually remove these messages by tapping on the trash can. So we'll have a look at this message panel a bit later on. And we've also got an attribute panel as well. So we'll look at this when we start actually looking at features on the map. So first thing we'll dive into then a little bit is coordinate systems. So at the moment, you can see that I've got latitude and longitude showing there on the screen. What I can do, I can go into my project and I can change the coordinate system. So because I'm sitting in Germany, I'm going to choose the coordinate system that's relevant for me. So I can go in here and I can change it to a UTM-32 coordinate system. So this is going to give me values in meters. I'm going to change my geoid model as well. So I've got a default one here set up, but I'm going to change it to the German geoid model, which is this one below. And I'll go back to my screen, map screen. And you'll see now that the position is turned into easting and northing and height. So I've got a value in meters. So obviously when you're working in the UK, you can change this to British National Grid. I've got an example later where I'll show you that. And we have, coordinate systems for all around the world. So wherever you're working, you're going to be able to get a projected coordinate system in meters. So we mentioned RTK just briefly. So you can see I've got a correction profile set up for HxGN SmartNet. And in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can see that RTK is currently turned off. And if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you can see that my estimated 2D accuracy is 1.4 meters. So I'm just going to tap on the RTK button in the top right, and that's going to activate my RTK connection. And what you'll find is that the accuracy should start to improve. Now, my antenna is poking out of my window at home at the moment, so it will take a little bit of time for the accuracy to come down. But you can already see there on the info panel that I've got a phase float position. So it's changed from navigator to phase float. And you can see that the accuracy is steadily coming down to centimeters. And we should actually get down to 2 centimeters as we go along. As I say, it's the antenna is quite close to the house today, so that does affect the position a little bit. So let me zoom in. And we're going to jump into having a look at the layers of the map. So by default, you always get a slice of OpenStreetMap, and that's what you can see here. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this mapping. This is coming from a WMTS server. And if I go to the 3 dots top right of the screen, I've got a projects, layers, and a settings menu. And I'm just going to jump into the layers. So this operates pretty much like any GIS software. You can see that that's my OpenStreetMap layer. You can see that it's turned off because of the tick. If I untick it, go back to the map, obviously it goes blank. If I come back in, tick it back on, the map reappears. Very basic stuff. What I want to do is add some aerial imagery. So if I hit the plus button, I can say add layer from web service. And I'm going to choose the default hexagon services. I'm going to choose the top one, hexagon aerial imagery. And what you'll see when I come back to the map, we'll get some aerial appear. So it's nice and fast. The good thing about WMTS is it refreshes really quickly. Today I'm on Wi-Fi, but if you're in the field of mobile data connection, you'll find that the tiles come in pretty quickly. Obviously, we can import other GIS data as well. So this is just background maps that we've looked at. But what I want to do is add a shapefile layer. So again, I can go to my plus icon, I can add layer, I can browse, and I'm going to import this from Google Drive. So I've got Google Drive set up on my iPad already. My shapefile is inside this zip file. And I simply tap on the zip file. And I've now got another layer. So by default, it's just given it a style of a black point. Maybe we want to change that. You can go into there, go into symbology. Oops, okay. Let's bring that back up. Yeah, let's try that again. So layers. And I'm going to change the color from black and I'm going to make it yellow so it shows up nicely on the screen. Okay, so there we go. This is just some fence posts that have been captured, so you can see they're kind of regularly spaced. And we can select these features. So if I can long press on a point, you can see that we get this selection wheel. So we can kind of choose between which features were underneath our finger when we pressed on the screen. So if I select this first post here, I get a little box pop up. And this gives me different options. I can activate this point, I can find it, delete it, etc. And if I just do activate, you'll see that I get a blue pin on the screen. And if I go to attributes in the bottom left-hand corner, this shows me the attributes that are related to that particular point on the screen. So I'll have a little bit of a more look at attributes in a minute. But what I want to do is just dive into measuring something. So we've looked at layers, we've imported some data. But actually what I want to do is just measure something. So if I press the bottom right-hand button, so it's 12, 11 centimeters at the moment, this is the measure button. So if I press that, it tells me, do I want to measure in the school posts layer or do I want to add a new one? And I'm just going to go ahead and add a new layer. So this is just completely on the fly. This isn't anything that I've imported. I'm just generating this right now. So you can give it a name. You can change the geometry type. So you can have points, lines, or polygons. I'm just going to keep it as point. And I can set up some attributes. By default, you get an accuracy value. I'm just going to quickly add a list. So I'm going to add a list item here so I can change my field type to list. Going to give a couple of list items. So just A, B, nice simple example. I'm going to press done on that. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to press done. Going to hit the tick. So now we'll have measured a point in layer 1. So that's one that I just set up on the fly. And if we go to the attributes, you can see that it stored the accuracy at the time that I measured. And I can now choose my list. So I can choose B. And there we go. That's populated my value. So it's really simple to use. Obviously, the attribute collection is very important when you're kind of doing GIS asset collection. Obviously, you can have many more attributes in there, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But it's really nice that you can have this panel open on the screen. So you can be moving around on the map, you can be walking, and you can very quickly enter attributes as you're moving along, which is quite nice. So we've already had a little look at the context menu here, this thing when I tap on the blue pin. The blue pin is kind of what drives the data editing. So if I wanted to move this layer, this point in layer 1 to another layer, I could tap on not layer 1 and actually move it into a completely different layer. So I could just move it into the school posts layer. And if I finalize this now, you can see that the point that I measured has actually ended up in the other layer. So you can very easily move your features around as you're measuring. And another really cool feature in Zeno Mobile One is what we call multi-collect, which helps keep your data kind of topologically correct. So if you imagine you were measuring perhaps a fence and a fence post, so you've got a line and a point, and your fence posts are obviously attached to your kind of line. I just want to show you a quick example of that. And to do that, I'm going to digitize on the screen. So we had a little look at measuring. But what I want to do is tap on this pencil icon in the top right-hand corner. So you can see it's gone blue. And if I press and hold on the screen, then I can actually digitize manually features on the screen. So I'll just release my finger there. And what I might do is quickly just create another layer. And I'll call it FP for fence post. We'll keep it as a point. And I'm actually going to generate another layer as well. I'll call it FL for fence line. And I'll choose polyline. And you can see that I've got both of those things selected at the moment. Now, what happens when I go back to the screen is every time I digitize on the screen, because obviously I'm sitting indoors, I can't really walk around outside, we get a point and a line created every time I sort of create the vertex on the screen. And you'll see that when I finalize, so finalize fence post, finalize fence line, and we zoom in, that our points and our lines are attached to each other. So they're sharing the same location. So that's a really nice feature for capturing multiple objects at the same time, and also them showing the location as well. And that's what we call multi-collect. Another cool feature is the find feature. So some of you might know this as stakeout. We call it find in Zeno Mobile One. It's just a little bit more of a friendly term for those who aren't surveyors. And what that allows you to do is basically navigate very accurately to a point. So if you imagine maybe this point here that we just generated, I can activate that. So maybe we need to go and find this point. Maybe some undergrowth underneath over the top of it and it's hard to see. If we tap on find, what it will do is orientate the map towards that particular feature that you've selected. And you can see there that it's 28 meters away. So it's calculating the distance of where the feature is and where we are. And again, obviously I'm sitting indoors, the antenna is stationary, but if you were to move towards that point, then the distance obviously comes down as you get closer. And when you get into that large circle, what I'll show you is we'll just manually put the pin on where I am, and I can show you the difference. So if I just drop this in here and say find, then you can see as you get closer, you get different colors. So This is just outside the circle of sort of influence, and I think it's 10 centimeters, this circle. So once you get within 10 centimeters, the circle will go green. And actually, if I pick up this pin, I should be able to move it right on top of my location. And say find, and that's what it would look like. So if we were standing directly on top of the asset, then you get sort of 0.0, 0.1, and that means that you're exactly where you want to be. So it's a little bit hard to show you without being outside and moving around, but hopefully you can appreciate these circles change as you get closer to the asset. And actually the find feature can be quite a nice little way of measuring distances, because I can move this pin around and actually it will tell me the distance to wherever I drop that pin. So if you need to do a quick kind of straight line measurement, it can be quite useful. I can put it over here in the field, and again, it will tell me the distance. So that's quite a nice feature for stakeout. Okay. So everything in Zeno Mobile is stored in a project. So we mentioned that at the beginning. We've got project 1 here. I'm going to go to my project management page. And this is something that I prepared earlier. So I'm going to open the SmartPOS project. And I'll explain a little bit about what this is. So SmartPOS is just short for smart positioning. And in our settings, we can enable raw data logging. And smart positioning is basically automated post-processing. So you might have heard of the term post-processing, and this is when if you are out in the field and you need to do some measuring and you don't have a mobile data connection and you're unable to get RTK, then traditionally you would go back into the office, download your data and post-process it on some desktop software using Rhinex data. And that whole process is quite time consuming, it's quite complicated, you need quite a bit of knowledge about what you're doing. But the end game of post-processing is to improve your position, but after you've been out in the field. And smart positioning can do this for you completely automatically within the Zeno Mobile One app. So what I did to mimic this is earlier I measured these 4 points and I had the internet turned off on my tablet. So I had no RTK, I just had a navigated position. And if we just have a look at one of these points, you can see the accuracy there. I was measuring it 57 centimeters. So not too bad. Again, this is just a navigated position. Let's have a look at the other one. We can drop the pin here, 60 centimeters, 59. So roughly the same for each one of those points. And when I measured each of those points, I stood still for 2 minutes. And the reason for that is the longer you stand still, basically the more accurate your post-processed results will be. So this is, again, really useful if you're out in the field and you can't get mobile data. And if you go back into the office or you go home, you get back onto mobile data or onto Wi-Fi, then Zeno Mobile will contact the Leica servers and it will actually compare your coordinates and set up post-processing for you in a server in the cloud. And you literally don't have to do anything. And if you look in the bottom left-hand corner where the messages tab is, you can see there's a little blue dot on there, which indicates that we got some messages. And you can see that we've got this message saying 4 points are ready to be improved. And it's done that automatically for us. Again, I didn't have to do anything. This message appeared saying that we can actually improve the accuracy of our measurements. So if I tap on open, we get a warning, 4 measured points are ready to get a better accuracy. Do you want them to be updated now? Obviously, we'll go ahead and say yes. Now, you might have spotted that the points actually moved on the map. They actually kind of got a bit tighter onto that gray polygon on the screen. But what we'll do now is we'll check the accuracy. So if you remember, it was sort of 59 centimeters, 60 centimeters. Let's have a look at the first point. And we've gone right down to 5 millimeters. So this is really impressive that you can get this kind of result of post-processing without really doing anything. As long as you're patient and you measure for a couple of minutes on each point, then you can get some incredibly accurate results. So we've got 8 mil on that one. So, you know, the longer you stand on the point, the more accurate it can be. You don't have to stand there for 2 minutes. You could stand there for a minute, and obviously it wouldn't be as accurate, but it depends on the application that you're doing. And smart positioning is available with the SmartNet account. So if you have a SmartNet account and you're normally using RTK in the field, then you'll also be able to use smart positioning as well if you aren't able to get mobile data. So I think it's a really useful feature. And let's have a look now at some more data stuff. So I'm going to go and switch projects, and I'm going to go to my WFST example. So you've already seen that we're able to connect to web services in Zeno Mobile. We've talked about WMTS. That's where the OpenStreetMap and the aerial imagery is coming from. We also support WMS as well. And we support WFS and WFST. Now, some of you might know what the T stands for. It stands for transaction. And that means that you can actually edit, update, and delete features on a WFST server. And if I go to the web services menu, you can see that I've got a geo server set up in here. So this is our HxGN geo server. And we also support ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise as well. So Ed mentioned Esri earlier. And if you have an ArcGIS Online account, you can connect to that. Equally, if you've got Portal set up inside your own company network, you can connect to ArcGIS Enterprise. And that will do a similar sort of thing. You can import Esri feature services, you can view data, you can edit, you can update, etc. But I wanted to show you GeoServer today. It's a little bit different. It's open source as well, which is quite nice. And let's jump in and have a look. So you can see that there's some green dots on the screen there. Let's have a look at the layer manager. And you can see I've got this layer called Trees HBG. And you can see there's a synchronize icon on the right-hand side. And whenever you import a layer from either a WFS, WFST, or ArcGIS Online, for example, you have this synchronize button that allows you to refresh the data. And if I just switch over to QGIS, you can see that we've got the same points here. So I've got the same layer in QGIS. I'm connected to the same server in QGIS that I am in Zeno Mobile One. So I want to just do a really quick example of what happens when you measure something in Zeno Mobile and update the geo server. So let's jump back into the app. And I'm going to measure a point. So I'll hit the measure button. I've got smart positioning turned on. Let's just turn that off. We don't want to wait for 2 minutes while we're measuring. So let's just turn raw data logging off. So this will be an RTK position now. So let's press the button again. Hit the trees layer. We get the pin. And there we go. We've measured a tree. And just a little bit on the attributes again. So you can see we've got more stuff here on the left to have a look at. The text, I could tap in some free text here. I could put a number in there. I could take a photo from the camera on my phone. You know, if it was an actual tree, we could take a picture of the tree and store that. And we've got lots of auto fields here as well. So it's automatically stored the 2D accuracy, 3D accuracy, etc. I've not even had to type this in. We've got the orthometric height, lat long, dot values, all sorts of stuff here. And this is all automatic, even the serial number of the antenna. So it's really nice that you can set up these auto attributes. And whenever you measure with the GPS, this gets automatically populated for you as well. So it's a really good way of storing lots of good GNSS metadata. So there's a tree there. Let's digitize one as well, just to kind of have a little bit more data. So I'll turn the pencil on again. Maybe we'll drop a tree in here, drop a tree in down here. So this is just mimicking us measuring some trees in the field. Obviously, it's points here at the moment, but you can be measuring lines and polygons, whatever you want. And we'll just go back to the layer manager, and I'll press the synchronize button. So the reason there's 2 synchronize buttons is you can either synchronize just that tree layer, or if you have multiple layers from a server, then if you hit the layer, the synchronize button in the top right, it will synchronize all layers available. So you can see it spinning around there. And what we should find is when we go back to QGIS, if we zoom out and zoom in, hopefully we'll see it appear. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay. Let's have a look. Perhaps I need to add the layer again. Okay, there they are. So a little bit of a delay there, but just remove the layer and put it back in again, and you can see that the points that we've collected are there. Let's have a look at the attributes. So maybe we can have a look at this one here that we measured. And you can see that we've got all the same attributes there. So that's coming from the server, just like it was in Zeno Mobile One. And we can try it the other way around as well. So let's try adding a tree in QGIS and refreshing Zeno Mobile One, and we should see that that appears for us on the tablet. So maybe we can dot some trees over here around this building. And we'll save those edits in QGIS. And we'll jump back to Zeno Mobile One. And again, we'll go into layers, hit the refresh button. And there we go, straight away, we've got a couple of trees. So it's just a simple example of showing you the connection with a WFST server. And this is really powerful. Obviously, again, it's open source. So for smaller organizations, this is really good to have these OGC services set up and working for Zeno Mobile One. Right, next one, probably going to be the final feature that we look at, and this is CAD. So we've talked quite a bit about file formats. We talked about web services. We talked about shapefiles, etc. But we also support CAD files in Zeno Mobile One, which is really, really good. So this is the project here. This is a map in Great Britain. So this is Putney in London. Just to show you, we're in British National Grid. So this is where I've got it set up here. We're using the latest CSC and geoid models from Ordnance Survey. So you can see I've got the OSGN 15 GEM, and I'm also using the OSTN 15 CSCS file. So this is going to give you the most accurate coordinates when you're measuring in Great Britain using OS data. It means that if you measure and compare data against, master map or whatever, it's going to line up properly. And I just wanted to show you quickly, this is OpenStreetMap, but in the layers, I'm going to add a layer from Great Britain. So I've gotten a free Ordnance Survey Maps API set up. So I signed up for that on the Ordnance Survey website. And I can import one of their layers. So I'm going to choose the outdoor layer in the British National Grid EPSG code. So let's hit that one. And I'm going to turn off OpenStreetMap. So we're just left with the Ordnance Survey layer. And there we go. So it looks a bit pixelated. This is the free data, but it's what you're used to seeing really if you're working with Ordnance Survey data. So if we zoom in again on this little bit by Putney Pier, what I want to do is open up a CAD file. So again, go to layers. This time I'm going to go to browse, and this is going to again go to Google Drive. If you don't use Google Drive, you can basically use any file sharing app on your phone. So you might use Dropbox, you might use OneDrive. It's all supported. So let's go in here, go to CAD, and here's my DWG file. So I'm going to open up Putney. Gives you a little warning about the coordinate system, but we know that it's in British National Grid, so we'll just okay that. And we'll see how it lines up on top of the OS mapping. So we've got the CAD file there on top of the WMS. And there it is. So if we zoom in, you can see the data from the CAD file is kind of wrapped around the road, and we've got the pier here. We'll turn off the background mapping just so it's a little bit clearer. So you've got some tree canopy there. We've got the road with the road name. We've got all sorts of other detailed information. Lots of spot heights, etc. Some text. And what we're doing is we're natively displaying this CAD file. So actually, if you were looking at this CAD file in AutoCAD, it would look the same. And we can even edit the CAD files, which is pretty cool. So just going to do a quick example of adding something to the CAD file. So where the pier is, I'm just going to add another kind of square, let's say. So I'm just going to get the digitize again. And I can open up my CAD file, and you can see here it looks very different from the GIS data. I've got all these different layers that I can choose. I'm just going to jump down here, pick up this one called SVDET, and I'm going to choose the polyline. And that's going to enable me to quickly draw something on the screen. Again, this is just to show you how I'm actually editing directly the CAD file. So let's just sort of draw a box like that, and I'll finalize. So we've got a thin black line, the same as the pier, okay? So what we'll do now is we'll actually export this layer back out as a DWG. So I can go into my layer manager. I can go to Putney. I can go share, export as DWG, drop it into Google Drive. Save here, upload. And this is, saving a CAD file as a CAD file again, but obviously you can save any features that you measure in Zeno Mobile as a CAD file. So any points, lines, and polygons, things from GeoServer, you could export as a CAD file. It's all very flexible. So let's have a look at what that export looks like. You get a zip file. Let's refresh that. There it is. Okay, so you've got Putney dwg.zip. And we'll just extract that. Maybe we'll put it in its own folder, actually. Let's do that. Okay. So remember, this is the CAD file where I added a box, basically. And what I'll do is I'll just drag it into the Autodesk online viewer so we can have a look at it. Shouldn't take too long. Done adding files. So it's just going to upload and process that. While it's doing that, let's just have a quick look at this again. So yeah, it's really powerful having this CAD feature because, as I explained, quite often you might have a deliverable that's a CAD file. Maybe the customer that you're working for needs you to just go and do some measuring, and they want the deliverable as a CAD file. And that means you could go out, measure the assets that you need to do in the Zeno Mobile features, so the points, lines, and polygons, and then you can just literally go export DWG DXF, and there's your deliverable. So it's so nice that you can use CAD and GIS together. There's none of these headaches with having to kind of transform CAD files into shape files or anything like that. You're kind of working in a native format. So let's just jump back into the viewer. And you can see that the CAD file looks exactly the same. And we've got our extra box that I drew, and it's using the same styling. So it's just to kind of show you the power of how we're not fiddling about with the CAD file. These tree canopies haven't been changed into black lines or thicker or anything. We're kind of retaining the same styling, and everything's kind of honored and looks decent. So I think this is a really powerful feature in Zeno Mobile One, the fact that we can handle CAD files so simply. And I think that's about it for the moment. I think, yeah, that's a very got through quite a lot there very quickly, but I just wanted to show you some of these more interesting features. There's obviously a lot more to it. But yeah, recommend getting a hold of the trial license that we just showed, because you can try this for free for 30 days and have a play with it, and yeah, explore the other features. So Ed, I'm going to pass back to you, and then we can have a look at what questions we might have.
Thanks very much, Alex. That was very detailed and very informative. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Just got a few settings to change quickly. So hopefully we're back onto the PowerPoint. Yeah, you briefly just mentioned there at the end, Alex, that there is a trial version of Zeno Mobile One. Can you just explain a little bit more what that is?
Yeah, so this trial it's basically a form to sign up to get a 30-day license for Zeno Mobile One. So you just have to fill in your contact information. And as Ed mentioned, and it says on the screen, you can download the app for free from Google Play or from the App Store. And once you've signed up for this trial, you'll get an email that explains what to do. You basically get like a license code. And when you very first open the app on your iPhone or your Android phone, there's a box that you need to do to enter a username and password, which is related to a Leica MyWorld account. So in the email that you get, it explains how to set up this MyWorld account and use the license code. So there's a few steps to go through. As I say, it's explained in the email that you get once you've signed up. And then you can go ahead and use that app. If you've got a Leica antenna, then you can pair your antenna up, your Flex 100 or GGO4+. If you don't actually have a Leica antenna, you can still use the internal GPS of your device. So everything that I was doing today with measuring, you can still do. Obviously, the accuracy isn't going to be as good, but it'll give you an appreciation of how the measuring kind of mechanism works. And yeah, as I say, it uses the internal GPS of your iPhone or Android phone. So I'd recommend doing this if you want to have a go.
Yeah, and you can use the QR code actually on screen right now to go and get that submission form for the free trial. We'll have that again at the end as well. So if you haven't quite got your mobile to hand to scan that, we'll show it again at the end. Yeah, thanks, Alex. We'll quickly do our last poll actually as well, if that's okay. Where you've mentioned plenty of different importing and exporting capabilities. So I was going to do a very quick poll just to see what people use in their day-to-day work and what they would be most interested in working with when it comes to Zeno Mobile One. And it will also be a full list of all the different data formats that it works with. So I will launch that poll now, and hopefully people will see it on their screens. And again, I'll give 20 seconds. It's multi-select as well. So by all means, select more than one. But hopefully we'll just get a few answers coming in here. Yeah, just to see what people are most interested in. Right, perfect. Yeah, still some coming in, but it looks like the most popular at the moment is Shapefile and ArcGIS Online. So there's obviously GIS users here, plenty of those present, which is a good thing because you covered that, Alex, in the demo portion, but also quite a lot of people that work with DWGs and CAD data. So again, glad that you covered that in the webinar. Thanks very much, everyone, for your input there. I'll just end that poll now. Perfect. And then what I'll do is I'll race through the last few parts of the slides. So we're just going to go through the other products that make up the range. So the app is only one part of it is the software, but there's also hardware part of it. So we'll just race through to give everyone a quick update on what's available in terms of hardware. So I did mention that Leica Geosystems have their own ruggedized tablet, which is the CSX8, and it's purpose built to sort of fit that mobile data capture out in the field, you know, tough terrain, difficult weather conditions, and things like that. So it does that by being 5G enabled. It's got 15 hours of battery life. It's drop and waterproof. And probably the best function of it all is that it comes with these quick fire buttons. So these buttons can be used to basically speed up your data capture and do the things that Alex was doing in the demo, but even quicker. Okay. Now onto the GNSS receivers, and this is the one that Alex again mentioned in the demo, the FLX 100 Plus. It's a lightweight and versatile receiver. With the use of correction services, it can reach that 2 centimeter level horizontal accuracy you saw in the demo. And it can be configured for both conventional pole use, but also for handheld setup as well. And the image actually on screen shows that quite well with some of the different setups as possible to have with the FLX 100 Plus. It's can be used with Android, iOS, and Windows devices. And should be mentioned, obviously, it can be paired and to work with the Zeno Mobile One app, but it can also be used with other third-party software on there. So if you are using other maybe Esri apps or Qfield apps, this receiver can still pass those positions onto those other third-party software. The second receiver, which Alex didn't mention, which is another one that MGISS sell, is the GGO4 Plus. Now, when this accuracy really matters, with correction services, the GGO4 Plus can get down to 8mm of real-time accuracy. Typically, this will always be pole mounted, as you can see in the photo, to make use of that accuracy. But just like the FLX100 Plus, it's compatible with Android, iOS, Windows, and it can be used with a whole myriad of other third-party software. Both receivers, though, are single button use. So once you're out in the field and the operative is using them, it's very simple to use. It's simply turn on, turn off. And just want to go briefly through correction services, as it was mentioned again by myself and by Alex. So I just want to give some clarity to some people who might not be familiar with what we mean by correction services. So there's two that we'll talk about, and one that Alex has already mentioned. SmartNet RTK feeds correctional information to the user from a central server via the internet. That, and combining real-time satellite signals from the GNSS receiver, can give you the best real-time results in terms of accuracy and convergence time. It also gives you that ability that Alex showed for raw data logging and post-processing on the fly in the app. But if you are trying to collect in real time, then you do have to have internet connection, or you're using a different app that isn't Zeno Mobile One, and you will have to have that to maintain that level of accuracy. The other correction service is called SmartNet PPP, and that feeds correctional information not via the internet there, but via a geostationary satellite. And this means it does not require internet connection, but you will have slightly less accuracy and longer convergence times by using PPP. Just to summarize that then, SmartNet RTK will work with both the FLX100 Plus and the GGO4 Plus. And you can see the FLX100 Plus, we talked about, gets down to 2 or 3 centimeter horizontal accuracy. The GGO4 will go down officially to 8mm, so below a centimeter. With PPP, it will only work with the GGO4 Plus, but it can give an accuracy of around 10 centimeters. But that can take a slightly longer convergence time of maybe around 15 minutes. And lastly, I just want to showcase MGISS's additional services. We do pride ourselves on not just being a unit seller of Leica products. We want to support our customers through their geospatial journey. So we do this in lots of different ways, really. We can supply training, virtual onboarding sessions, similar to what you saw from Alex, but in more detailed and more bespoke, obviously. We can also do on-site training days where a member of our PS services team will go and visit you on site and do training there. We can do support contracts, which gives you access to a support line and an email address where we can answer and try and troubleshoot any issues you're having. And lastly, warranty extensions. So hardware, the GNSS receivers will come with standard 2 years warranty, but we can give and sell additional years to give that peace of mind, really. And that sort of brings us up to the end of the webinar. We are very close to the end in terms of time as well. So I'll just wrap up. There's a QR code again that's on screen, which will give you a link to a submission form to fill out to get access to this Zeno Mobile One free trial. I'm also happy to announce that MGISS are going to offer throughout January, February, and March an offer where you get a half price first year of SmartNet RTK when you purchase a GNSS receiver through MGISS. So that offer will last to the end of March. There are certain terms and conditions that will apply. We've also made a conscious decision in this webinar to not bring up prices, but we're more than happy to give the cost of anything that's been covered in this webinar if people inquire. So if you do want to find out pricing, please use the email addresses that are on screen, even myself at ed@mgiss.co.uk, or our sales email address to our sales team, and we will answer with costs. You also please feel free to visit our website at MGISS, which will have more details. Yeah, and I think that will be about it. So I think like I say, we've only got a few minutes. We will, if we don't get around to answering the questions that have been put forward, because I can see there's already quite a few there, we will follow up personally if we don't have time. But very quickly, just looking at some of the questions that have come through. Someone's asking if the webinar will be saved, and yes, it's being recorded, and it will be sent out in an automated email within the next day or two. You can then share that with anybody else within your organization if you want them to see it. So that we will be sending out a recording and a link to the webinar as well. Somebody's asked what accuracy can the receivers get without correction service? And typically that will be making use of other free correction services, which will be SBAS. And I think that's probably about just sub-meter. I think, Alex, would that be fair to say? About
yeah,
we'll say without the SmartNet, it'll be about 80 centimeters to a meter. So we'll typically say sub-meter without the use of correction services.
Yeah.
There's also a couple here, I think, for yourself, Alex, about what version of Android will Zeno Mobile One work on, and also, is there any information about what's happening to the old Zeno Mobile app?
Yeah, so Zeno Mobile One will run on Android 10 and above. And for the old Zeno Mobile app, it will continue to work. If you have it already and you have a license, then it will continue to work. Obviously, we're not going to be maintaining it anymore, so there won't be any more bug fixes, new features, etc. But if you've got a perpetual license for Zeno Mobile, it will just continue to run. So there's no issues there. Obviously, any new customers will go on Zeno Mobile One, but existing Zeno Mobile users can continue to use it. And if you want to switch over to Zeno Mobile One at any point, then obviously your kind of data and projects and things will work in the new version.
Thank you. Yeah, we are running out of time. Apologies. Last question, and then, like I said, we will follow up personally with all the others that we haven't got round to. But smart positioning looks good. Is it a standard part of Zeno Mobile, or is it a paid for extra to be able to run that post-processing?
So yeah, the feature's standard in Zeno Mobile One, but what you do need is the SmartNet account to be able to drive the stuff on the server. So if you have a SmartNet account already for the RTK, then you'll be able to take advantage of SmartPOS. So yeah, the feature Zeno Mobile One, all features are in the app. There's no like tiers to Zeno Mobile One. It's just everything's available basically.
It has come up to 12 o'clock, so I probably will have to then end the webinar about now. Like I said, we will answer all those questions that have been posted. I'll leave it running for a couple more minutes. So if you are in the middle of typing a question, please continue to. We will then end the webinar, take a look at all those questions, and then email out replies directly to people. Yeah, and like I said, any questions that you might have after the webinar is finished, then please feel free to email myself at ed@mgiss.com or sales@mgiss.com.co.uk. Apologies. Okay. All right. Thanks very much for your time, everybody. And it's been a pleasure. Alex?
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, great. All right. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.